In the world of work, knowing your rights is as important as knowing your job. So for chapters 1 to 3 of Title II Wages, it ensures that employers and employees understand their duties and protections, also helping us to understand our rights and navigate the complexities of our workplace. Now, what is Title II really all about? It's actually all about wages. Now, how do we define wages? Article 97F of the Labor Code states that wages shall be the remuneration or earnings for work done or services rendered expressed in money, which applies to both written and unwritten contract. Now, when do we say that it is a written contract? Just when there is a document which outlines the terms and conditions. Whereas if we talk about unwritten contract, this involves a verbal agreement. Now, why do we say a verbal agreement is a contract? Because it is, we have this, when they say, for as long as there is a meeting of the mind, it is legally binding. Now, why do we need wages to pay for the workers? It is to avoid unjust enrichment. We have learned this before in our previous law subject. We have this principle that no one shall be unjustly enriched at the expense of the other. Now, let's say, for example, Tanggol is an employee of Marites. And Tanggol has a friend from other region who is Vigor. Now, nag-chat silang dua, and Tanggol found out that Vigor is earning a higher daily wage compared to him with the same work. So, is Marites violates the law? Will she face legal consequences? Yes or no? But without answering the question, let us proceed to the next question. Who sets the minimum wage rate? Now, it is the Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board, or the RTWPB. What does this mean? This means that every region has different regional minimum wage, which depends upon its regional variations. When we say regional variations, it includes the economic factors and the industry-specific factors, and these are all set within the statutory minimum wage. So what do we mean by statutory minimum wage? This is the lowest wage rate that is fixed by the law. And take note that payment of minimum wage is a mandatory statutory obligation that is not dependent upon one's ability to pay. Now, going back to the scenario, does Marites violates the law? The answer is depende. Because if Marites complies with the original minimum wage rate, then she does not violate the law, or she will not face any legal consequences. However, if she does not comply with the original minimum wage rate, then she violates the law. As suppose she will face legal consequences. Okay? Now, let's say, for example, Zando is an employee of Sir Edgar. Now, suddenly, Sir Edgar stopped providing Zando a bonus, which is a benefit that Zando has been enjoying since the day he started. Will Sir Edgar violate the law, or will he face legal consequences? Yes or no? Oh, by the way, without answering the question, let's first discuss this word supplement and facility. the reduction or elimination of benefits. Unless there is a valid or unless there is a mutual consent or valid reason for the change. Now, Xander is entitled to receive the bonus unless there is a valid reason for the change. Now, take note that a bonus is an example of a company practice. When we say company practice, this is a benefit or perk that has become a right due to consistent provision. Now take note that the bonus is only demandable and enforceable when it is under two conditions. When it is given or it has ripened into a company practice and if the bonus is given without any condition. Now, it is only demandable and enforceable in that case. However, take note that the bonus is not demandable and enforceable if it is given under a certain condition. So, in that way, the non-condition rule will not apply. So, if the employer only a bonus, then the employer will not face any legal consequences. Now, are you familiar with 13th month pay? Well, 13th month pay is actually required by Human Decree number 851. It is actually calculated as 1/12 of the total basic salary of an employee within a calendar year. So when we say within a calendar year, that is from January to December. So let's say, for example, si Sarah. Sarah is earning 10,000 per month as her basic salary. Tapos, from January to December. Tapos, 2 months is nag-maternity leave siya. So there are only 10 months na siya earning. So let's say, for example, she absences and everything. So, it is calculated as 10,000 times 10, that is 100K. So that times 12, times 1/12 rather, that will give us around 8,333.33. So that will be her 13th month pay. Now the question is, what if trabaho lang siya January to June? Will she entitled pa ba siya to receive a 13th month pay? The answer is yes, because the only requirement to receive a 13th month pay is at least nakatrabaho siya nakaserve siya 1 month. So ang iya na ma-receive a 13th month pay is calculate lang from January to June. However, there are exemptions earning a 13th month pay, like the managerial employees and the government employees. Because government employees are under the civil service rule, I think, and those commission bases or task bases like sa itong class ng si Paul, kita si Paul. Yes. He is working in Remotas, so he is not entitled to receive a 13th month pay task basis on the Remotas. Now, there are those who are not covered only, those are kasambahays, extras, casuals, and seasonal employees. An example of seasonal employees kay si Molly, na wala din si Madam Esme. Yes. So those are the mga entitled to receive a 13th month pay. Let's say, for example, Igor is an employee of Certibol. Now, Certibol will pay Igor a voucher as a compensation for his work done from January 1 to 15. And then, and that will be paid on February 2, 2025. At tulong sila sa church mag-abot. Kay si Certibol is requirement sa Katoliko, sa church mag-abot. Now, alam ko si Victor, on that day, ang katagatang pangalan, she asked his wife to tuwan to dito sa church para kuhaon ang voucher. Now, is this allowed or is there any violation? The answer is there are 4 violations because under Article 102, 103, 104, and 105 of Chapter 3 Payment of Wages, it says that it should be in the form of a legal tender. When we say legal tender, it should be in money, cash, check, or a money order. We have discussed this on our law subject before. Now, it should be paid at least once every 2 weeks or twice a month, intervals not exceeding 16 days. So that exceed the old 16 days, right? Another thing is it should be made at or near the place of the undertaking, dili sa simbahan. And lastly, there is a general rule that wages shall be paid directly to whom they are due. Basta po kung si Rigor ang nagtrabaho, si Rigor ang lumuha sa sweldo. But there are exceptions to that for cases of force majeure na pwede dahil authorization. And another is, if mamatay si Rigor, biyag ko lang pwede ang years ang mubuhat sa sweldo. Okay? Now let's have the key distinctions as which contracting arrangement is prohibited or legitimate. Now, as you can see here, it is the job contracting that is legitimate. So an example of a job contracting most likely are the security guards. Now, let's say for example, this is Pilahan. Now, we can say that this is a job contracting when there is an equipment or tools provided by the contractor, and if the contractor supervises and controls the security guard, and if it is not directly related to the core business. So what do we mean by that? Let's say, ang security guard, and naman siya sa Pilahan. So for example, this is Pilahan. So the school is intended for educational purposes, whereas the security guard is considered as an ancillary function. So possibly it is directly related to the core business and it is legitimate. Now, let's say for example, ang security guard, wala siya kabayad sa contractor. Security guard, wala kabayad sa contractor. Who is liable? The contractor or the employer? It is both, because under the labor law, the contractor and the employer are jointly, and several lives are jointly, and several as a joint and several liability, meaning the security guard can demand the payment to either of these two, and it is up to the contractor and the employer as to how they will reimburse themselves. Now, that is under the job contract. You know what if security guard quality and it is under labor only contracting? So in that case, it is only the employer who is liable to pay the payment to the security guard, because the employer is considered to be the direct employer of the security guard. Now take note that in this case, it is under labor only contracting, so it is prohibited. So pasapol, in this case, mabalan sila, both the contractor and the employer will face legal consequences. I hope that is very clear to everyone, and that's it for chapter